What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and it's part 2 of the LG Spectrum 2. That's a lot of 2s, but this is an equally awesome second part video review of a device that's available on Verizon for $100 and packs some pretty decent specifications as well. Let's find out if it's all that in the review, but first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like the Spectrum 2, which we turn around and give to you for free at instantwin.phonedog.com. When you walk into Best Buy Mobile, you're going to walk out working. They're going to get your contacts, your web, your settings, all that stuff set up for you. So when you walk out the door, you're good to go at Best Buy Mobile. You don't have to waste your time dealing with all that stuff. Let's take a look. Spectrum 2, is this a device to get? We'll find out. It's part 2. It rolls right now. Part 2 of a review video of the LG Spectrum 2, which is available now at Verizon Wireless online for $99.99, in stores for, I'm assuming, $150, because online it says $150 with a $50 online only discount. But there are a couple of things I like about this device, despite it not being, the highest spec device in the land. I mean, this thing, in comparison to the Galaxy S3, the Galaxy Note 2, the Droid DNA, the HTC One X Plus, you may look away from it, but for somebody that wants something with a decent specifications list, it's going to be a pretty cool device to have. It's got a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU, 1 gigabyte of RAM, a 4.7-inch IPS HD display, a 2,150 milliamp hour battery, 4G LTE on Verizon, Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich with LG's user interface, very similar to the Optimus 4X HD, at least in terms of look and feel. It just has a dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor as opposed to a quad-core Tegra 3 processor. But what I like about this device are a couple of things. One, it's $100 and it's a decent spec list for $100. Two, it's one of a few devices this holiday season to offer wireless charging out of the box. The battery door here is already ready to go with it. It supports the Qi standard, so you can pop out your wireless charging area here, which I have. I don't think I have it plugged in. Let me look down here. I don't have it plugged in, but you can see this Nokia one I have, for example. All you have to do is put the device on the charger, and it will wirelessly charge for you. So gone are the days where you have to plug it in, and given the fact that the plug is actually on the side of this device, your micro USB charger, it can be hard to text when you got it plugging in and you're trying to text and you're like trying to fit your fingers around it. We've all been there before where you have just that oddly placed micro USB charging port. No more with this. The downside to this is kind of like the upside to obviously to wired charging is the fact that, you pull it off, it removes the charging. So each time you get a text message, you're doing this all day long. And the battery's going to take a little bit longer to charge. That said, it is nice to not have to deal with cables, not have to worry about texting, and trying to keep your fingers away from that little cord over here on the side. So wireless charging is cool. That said, I noticed this one is a little bit faster, or a little bit slower rather to charge than some of the other devices I've worked with, and it gets a little bit hot for my liking on the back battery door. Now, all of the wireless charging devices get hot. That said, this one gets a little bit warmer than usual, a little bit warmer than I would like. May not be anything big, just something I noticed in my testing with the Spectrum 2. Let's take a look here at PhoneDog.com and we'll take a look at Twitter as well. This is my personal account. I've got right here, Aaron C. Baker on Twitter, twitter.com/Aaron C. Baker, and you can see it pulled up. So here's what a mobile website looks like on this device. And let me give me 1 second. Let me turn this demo device off because somebody is calling and calling repeatedly, and it's getting a little bit old while I'm shooting a review video. Maybe I should answer on camera. That'd be kind of fun. But here we go. Aaron C. Baker on Twitter. And you can see my tweets here as well. So kind of what a mobile website looks like. This is my personal Twitter account. And then I can go back and take a look at PhoneDog.com, which I don't know why I backed out of that when I can just type it in right here. And actually this font is getting a little bit old. But you know what? I can see a lot to like in this device, given the fact that it's at a good price point. It's got some decent specifications. Pinch to zoom, incredibly responsive. I've had no problem on this device. And really juxtapose this, or compare it rather, to other, for those people that don't know what juxtapose means, compare it to other devices that LG have made in the past year and a half on Verizon. The Spectrum, really not a huge contender. This device can compete. Granted, the OS and the user interface is a little bit behind from what we're seeing from Samsung and HTC, but it can compete with the iPhone 5, the Droid DNA, the S3, the Note 2, and all of those on paper at least. So pinch to zoom, incredibly responsive here. Little to no lag. The S4 processor working really well here. Big fan of the 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Snapdragon S4 CPU. I think it works really well, and you really see it shine in things like web browsing and more. So you got your window up here where you can click here and add new windows and move back and forth between those. And I can load up and take a look, for example, at Google. And I've got my menu button down here where I can refresh, I can save to bookmarks, request desktop site, and more out of the box. So browsing is a pretty decent thing to do on this device, if you will. So we'll take a look here at Quadrant Standard as well. So obviously Quadrant Standard score is not going to get into the 8,000 scores that we're seeing from some of these quad-core devices like the Droid DNA, but still it's going to be a respectable number. While that's running, I'll talk a little bit about battery life. With a 2,150 milliamp hour battery, I'm noticing a couple of things. It does die a little bit faster than some of the other devices I've worked with. I'm getting about 10 hours with moderate use in this device. Moderate use being calling, texting, emailing, browsing the web, doing things like that, texting, tweeting, doing Facebook updates, and more. I get about 10 hours with this device. Granted, the wireless charging is very cool. It charges a little bit slower on the wireless charging. Actually, when you plug it in, it's pretty fast in comparison to LG devices of the past. It's pretty fast to charge, and that's something that I like a lot on this device. A little bit zippier than other LG devices. Again, LG was kind of notorious up there with Samsung way back in the day of being a little bit slower to charge, but still impressive there. I took it at Verizon dead spot. 4G LTE continues to work relatively well. The upload speeds, they quote, is 2 to 5 megabits per second. Download speeds, they quote, 5 to 12 megabits per second all around on that. I've seen faster speeds, which we'll talk about in just a second in the Dallas Metro. Here we go, 5,393 on Quadrant Standard. So again, it's just a test. Take it with a grain of salt, but 5,393, really good given this device is available for $100. I'm gonna try to bring it in here and get the text to focus so you can take a look at that. And there we go, 5,393 on my very, very drifty camera. So we'll load up speed test as well. Like I said, 5 to 12 megabits per second on the download guaranteed on this device. I've seen much faster in the Dallas metro area. We'll see how it performs right now. Speed test, come on, I agree. Bam. And let's see if we can get it over onto a Dallas server. We may have to run a sample test here just to see and get it to lock GPS-wise. But here we go. Wellington, Kansas. You can see speeds jumping up to about 8 megabits per second, right in range of that 5 to 12 megabits per second speed they quote on the download, and then we'll take a look and see what the upload is as well. I've seen it far faster. That said, it may not be performing at its peak right now. It is 1 o'clock p.m. Not sure. There's really no rush hour going on right now, but 10 and 8 megabits per second. So let's do tools here and see what we can do in terms of getting it on a more local. Let's do Dallas, Texas. Bam. Let's do Dallas, Texas. There we go. And we'll try it this time around. I'm not sure why it's still showing Wellington, Kansas. But we'll see. 18 megabits per second. So obviously you can see much faster speeds here. 19 megabits per second on the download. Upload, 6.2 megabits per second. So it's loading up and it's working relatively well. So all in all, speed tests are pretty decent here. And I'm really impressed with things like wireless charging. I also want to highlight another feature that this device has. It kind of competes in a way with the Galaxy Note 2. Now, it's not going to be nearly as robust as the S Pen and as S Memo on the Galaxy S, or the Galaxy Note 2 rather. But you can see Quick Memo right here. We'll load this up and you can write memos on the screen using your finger and of course using a capacitive pen if you want to buy that separately. But you've got the option to do that. But another thing I really like here is you can press the volume buttons, for example. So let's say you're in the web browser. And I'm going to go back here, and you're on PhoneDog.com. You see a really interesting article you want to share with your friend. I'll go back to that window, and we'll load up PhoneDog.com. You're going down through here, and you're like, you know what, that article that Aaron did on the iPhone 5 challenge, I want to tweet it to him. So I'll click on that, I'll click the volume buttons, and I should be able to, actually let's exit out of that. I'm trying to get it to not go into the quick memo. Let's try, I'm doing something wrong here. Let's erase that. And let's go back. There, bam, there we go. Perfect. So it's saving it right now. And I can come in here and I can write on the display, or write on the display, I mean actually write on the screenshot that I just captured. And I can save those notes if I want to. So if I'm in here and you're like, you know what, Apple iPhone 5 challenge, that's something I want to hang on to. Click it, volume up and down buttons simultaneously, and then I can say, read later. So again, not nearly as robust as the Galaxy Note 2 and as the features that it comes with the S Pen and with S Memo, but still you've got kind of a functional note-taking application here where you can take screenshots, you can doodle on them, and you can send them to your friends for quick fun. So I don't really know what quick fun would be as opposed to not quick fun or slow fun, but you know what? It's improv, I'm going to roll with it. Quick fun, and you can draw all around. Of course, you have the same options here, very similar options. The ability to change the colors, the ability to change the pen tip, ability to erase, highlight, do things like that, and then the ability to share if you see fit via several mediums. So you've got a couple of different options here. You can sync it up with a couple of different things like Evernote and more, which is something that's pretty nice on this device. And then of course you can share it via Twitter, Google+, and more. So all in all, you know, it's got some specs, it's got some decent stuff with it. The specs are good. Quick Memo is fun. It's got wireless charging. So in a couple of ways, this device definitely competes with some of the high-end contenders on the market. It's got some unique value adds that make it a decent device worth looking at. If it were $199, I'd say, you know what, forget it. Go with the One X Plus, go with the Galaxy S3, go with the Note 2, because from a value add perspective, the software on those devices brings more to the table for me. And I think when you look at it in today's market, it's less of Android, iOS, Windows Phone, and it's more of, how can this software benefit me? And if I'm spending $200 on a device, should I spend $200 on the TouchWiz device or the Sense device? Which ecosystem is more important to me? Which features do I like more? Which software provides the better value add? That said, this is $100. So I think at this price point, you really can't go wrong with things like Quick Memo. It's got some nifty features. Wireless charging is cool. And if you don't want to spend the money on the Droid DNA, but you're still looking for a device that has pretty reasonable specs, this could be a nice device for you. Keep it locked on PhoneDog.com for more on the LG Spectrum 2. We'll have dogfights, more content on this device and all of Verizon's devices this holiday season. So keep it locked on the site. Hit me up on Twitter. Aaron C. Baker is my personal one, but hit me up on my work one as well. PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Let me know what you think of this device. If you like it, if you hate it, you're not a fan of LG, you prefer Samsung or HTC, you're an iPhone fan, you're a Windows Phone fan, I always love to hear from you. So let me know at PhoneDog_Aaron and on Facebook. Also, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're always doing cool giveaways. That's it for me. Stay tuned for more. And as always, see you on the flip side.